In this day and age, in the world of no-code, everything has to be AI-powered. Everything has to be sexy, shiny, explosive. Everything has to be full of stock images of people raising their hands up in excitement. I'm looking at you, Smart Suites. Now, as an agency owner, I kind of spot this kind of thing from a mile away, and it's kind of getting cringy at this point. Now, once in a while, you get these products that you just stumble upon, and they work. They're just simple, straightforward, easy to use. They're almost boring. One of these products is today's sponsor, Whalesync. Let's take a look. We're going to create a quick little sync. Now we're going to sync into two databases. We're going to go from Airtable to Google Sheets and from Airtable to Notion so that we can have a better idea of how the whole thing works and how quick does it work? Does it work? So we've got our Whalesync main screen as soon as you log in. It's actually quite clean. That's one of the things that I really like about this whole thing, is that the whole experience is very minimalistic. There is not a lot of buttons. There's no like this huge UI where there's a lot of settings, a lot of this, a lot of that. It's just like so straightforward. So new sync, connect the data source, Airtable, authorize. Now we have to enter our sharing link. Now this is the base sharing link, so let's go ahead and grab that. Here we go. Oh, sorry, it's the base. So we have to go share, base, publicly. We have to copy the link and just enter it in. Perfect. We have to grant access, and this is going to be the base. So invest db, grant access, and that was it. Simple as that. We want to save this connection, and from there we're gonna choose our second data source. So I'm just gonna put Google Sheets, authorize the Google Sheets URL, right? So please click connect, blah blah blah. There we go. I think this is what it wants. A pop-up window appears. We're gonna choose the account and press continue. That's it. Perfect. I need to select the sheet. So it's that one. Yep. Save connection. Perfect. Yeah. Continue. Table mappings. And this should be done fairly quickly. So first I have to choose the leftmost, not leftmost. I have to choose the right view. And I want to sync this, the Whalesync view. Basically, I want to make sure that only the records in this view get synced, get tracked by Whalesync. So let's find that Whalesync view. Perfect. Then I'm gonna choose sheet 2. I've already created over here my fields, the naming conventions. I basically copied them from Airtable. If you do that, you can then create a table mapping, and it's gonna analyze the two databases. And ideally, I believe, there you go, you can automatically map 4 fields. Perfect. Save and exit, prepare initial sync, scan records. And you know, another interesting thing is how it like takes you from step to step. It doesn't really let you misclick. You know what the next thing is. So here we go. We've got 5 records. Continue, continue. There's not much choices anyway. You just see stuff. You can't really do much. Preview sync. And you see now it has created an extra little field over here on this end, which is the Whalesync ID. And it's preparing the preview. Let's go. Activate sync, activate sync. Yeah, it is syncing the records. 0 out of 5. Getting back to sync. And you can see this, the first sync is just starting up. Here we go. We've got some of our first records, and that's it. Perfect. Let's take a look at how quickly it syncs, because now the sync should be done. It's watching for changes. So let's go ahead and make some changes. So first and foremost, I want to change this 54 million for space ABZ to, let's say, 66 million. And this 10, I'm going to make it 11. Let's see how quickly it's going to take to actually change this. So we're just waiting for that to come through. 66, and that should be 11. So it's really almost real time, I would say, maybe, you know, with a few seconds delay. I don't know how it's gonna act with millions of records or hundreds of thousands of records, but with a very small data set, it's pretty damn quick. Quicker than anything that I've seen so far, even quicker than something like coupler.io, which is one of my favorites as well, but this is much quicker and much simpler to set up. Now, let's take a look at how to sync Airtable to Notion, which is another very interesting tool. So I've got a new page in my private Notion pages. Essentially, I don't use Notion a ton, but I've just created a new page. I've added a table. I've given the headers a few simple names, and this time I have 3 names, right? I have deal name, description, and deal value. I don't have anything else. Simple as that. Let's see how to set up this connection. So I'm gonna click on New Sync, find an app, Airtable. I have to authorize it again. I'm not sure. Do I have to? Okay. Well, let's do it again. We're going to select our app, which is Notion, authorize. And now we're going to have to go through a whole spiel of authorizing Notion. Right. So cool. Select pages. I want to select testDB. Just this one, allow access. One interesting thing to note here is that if you are adding a new page quickly, if you just add it to Notion, I've noticed during my testing that sometimes it doesn't immediately come up in that authorization window. So be wary of that. Sometimes you need to let it like chill for 2-3 minutes, and then you'll see that new test DB or whatever DB page that you've just created. So keep that in mind. Save connection, perfect. Continue. And now we're gonna go into that and we're gonna add some table mappings. We're gonna select our table. So again, we're gonna go from our Whalesync view to testDB, create table mapping, and it's gonna analyze things and see if it can automatically map. So it can map 2 fields, but we actually need to map deal value, and that is going to be the deal size on this end. And that's basically it. Save and exit, prepare initial sync, scan records, continue. And it should be now preparing the way for the records to be imported into Notion. Let's just take a look at this. Oh, okay, I have to activate the sync. Okay, 0 records synced. There we go. How cool is that? And they're in there. Now, let's try something. I'm going to very quickly make some changes. So this space ABZ with 66 million, let's make it 68. And we're gonna see how quickly it's gonna change across the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and very quickly change this to 68. Switch all of this here. So here we go. That was now 68. And we should have the updates. There we go. Notion is updated and Google Sheets is updated. Almost instant.
I know what you're thinking. This is a sponsored video. Alex has sold his soul yet again to the corporate overlord. But my opinions are my own and they are not paying me to sugarcoat anything. So let's get stuck in with the good stuff first and the bad stuff later.
So let's start with the good things. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is the cleanliness of the whole experience in setting this whole thing up. As you saw during the demo, it's just so easy, so straightforward to just navigate this. Let's be honest, setting this up in Zapier or in Make would be considerably harder. I'm not even going to talk about the operations or the Zap runs that you're going to be charged with every single time that the system needs to monitor something and make updates from one data store to another. Like hands down, Whalesync wins. Now, secondly, it's the sheer choice of available data stores that I can sync between each other. Now, of course, there are some premium ones, but you know, who can put a price on love? Moving on. The third reason why I love this thing so much, and it's probably the biggest reason, it's just that it's so maintenance free. You just set it and forget it. Need to change some mapping? No problemo. Just jump in, edit table mappings. You have to disable the sync, of course. Edit the mapping, save or continue, enable the sync, and you're done. Bottom line, of course, is that it's a simple tool that takes a complicated process and turns it into something uncomplicated. And I don't like overcomplication.
Now, of course, there is no perfect product, and Whalesync is no exception to that rule, so let's get into this. Now, my first gripe with it is that you cannot add filters after you've created your initial sync. Why? This is... why? Let me show you. I would expect that I can just go into my table mappings and, this is where you like set up your sync and the mapping of your fields. There is a filter tab, no filter set. And you get this very rude message that says you can't edit the filter settings after the initial sync has completed. Now, I'm sure there's a perfectly legitimate reason for this, but I don't care. This should be there. Why is it not there? But I've spoken to the Whalesync guys, and it's probably like in the works to do something about this. So I'm complaining, but it's gonna be fixed. I believe. I hope. And the final bad thing is probably the worst thing about Whalesync. It can grind my gears a little bit. It's a twofold problem. First and foremost, if you delete a record from the source, in other words, if I go ahead and delete this record from my Google Sheet, where I'm syncing my data from Airtable to Google Sheet, right? If I delete this record, Whalesync will do nothing. It will not attempt to update it or realize that there is a problem and try to resolve it on its own, which I think it should. If you go ahead and delete that record completely, it will not persist on syncing it from Airtable because, hey, you know what? Maybe there's been a change in the database in Airtable. Maybe I should actually review the structure in Google Sheets and I'm missing a record. Let's add it in. So that's gripe number one. That should really work. The second gripe, it's the biggest gripe. It's the fact that if you delete a record from the source, so if I delete a record from here, and that, in my mind, is classified as a change in the database, it will do nothing to the source. So I can go ahead and delete a record, and nothing will happen to my sync in Google Sheets. Now, that... ooh. Actually, something did happen, which is really interesting. I didn't know that was they must have fixed it just now. This was like an issue a week ago. They care about their product. So only one issue. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this quick little review of Whalesync. Thanks to Whalesync for sponsoring the video, of course. And like I said before, they didn't pay me to say anything good or negative, just my pure opinion of the product. I was genuinely surprised that they fixed that issue because I had raised it prior to starting the review and like, guys, why? That's how it works. But they seem to have fixed it, which is awesome. That's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.